Welcome to the Hoop Collective podcast. We talk about the NBA. It's Tuesday morning. Joining me from New Orleans, Louisiana, at the Pelicans practice facility, I believe, is Mr. Andrew Lopez.
That is 100% correct. Happy New Year to you, Brian.
504 boy.
What's the threshold on how long you have to say Happy New Year? It's January 3rd. I mean, we're still in it, but when do we stop saying that?
I'm just going to go with for us, it's easy down here because on January 6th, we go to a brand new season, which is Mardi Gras. So if up until 12th night, up until January 6th, you can say it, because after that it's Mardi Gras and nothing matters anymore.
Joining us from Oakland, California, and a guy who may have attended, I don't want to assume Anscapes, Marc J. Spears. You're a Louisiana guy. Have you been a big Mardi Gras guy in your career?
You know, it's my mother's from New Orleans. I was mostly there during my youth in the summer. So I didn't get to go to Mardi Gras till I was an adult. And that's just because, it's February. And obviously covered NBA, February is a really busy time of year. So I think it took me to be at a Pelicans game and to finally go. But shout out to Jen Hale, the Pelicans sideline reporter. When I was there, she had it laid out at some steakhouse on what's the main street where the Mardi Gras takes place?
On St. Charles?
Yes, on St. Charles. And I don't know who she knows, but it was like, yeah, what steak you want? What wine you want? What daiquiri you want? Oh, by the way, the parade's going on. She had it hooked up. And my cousin, shout out to English Muffin, as we call her. She's having a big parade party in front of her house on St. Charles where everybody is welcome. So if you go to her Instagram page, English Muffin Monet, she calls herself English Muffin. She's having I guess it's a public party, which is incredible to me.
I hope so now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know English Muffin. But I do know Jen Hale, and she is the best. She has to right now, in addition to being the Pelicans sideline reporter, she has to be the referee between Skip and Shannon on another network. And
if Shannon don't show up, there's no refereeing to be done.
We will talk about another network, but
you are fine.
Much props to Jen Hale. Also does NFL sideline.
Legend.
One of the best. Yeah, one of the best. And she does a lot of great things off the court too. Yes. So anyway, we'll talk about what happened in New Orleans last night, where we almost had one of the great epic games of the season, almost. Because I think if Zion doesn't get hurt, Embiid and Zion are trading baskets and they're both sniffing 50, we will have to settle for what else happened on Monday night. And I know that this will be 2 days old by the time this podcast comes out. But I think when you have a 70-point game, the highest scoring game in almost 17 years in the NBA, Donovan Mitchell puts up, I think that merits discussion. DeMar DeRozan, by the way, who made 4 really clutch baskets in the fourth quarter to keep the Bulls ahead, it ended up not working out. He had 42, and it is less than an also-ran in that performance. Donovan goes for 71 points. And just to be the way that I saw it, he had probably the best second half of his career, at least in a regular season game. I didn't see every Jazz game. Maybe somebody in the Jazz fan could dispute that. Maybe Donovan would dispute it. But he probably had the best second half of his career. He had 40 in the second half, or just in the third and fourth quarters. And then because by the way, Darius Garland was out of this game. And so was Evan Mobley. And the Bulls were regularly double teaming him. And he had 17 or so in the first half, but he didn't have a great half. And the Cavs were down 18 points. And he was frustrated. He got teed up right in the last minute of the first half because, he was angry about a call, but he was really angry about the situation. So he has the best second half arguably of his regular season career before the overtime, makes probably a once in career play with 3 seconds left when he purposely misses a free throw, gets the rebound and puts it back in. I will
box out.
Yeah, Patrick. Well, first off, Billy Donovan was angry after the game that he thought Donovan Mitchell should have been called for a lane violation because he shot a real high arcing shot and it looked like he did leave early. Yeah. And earlier in the quarter, Alex Caruso was called for back-to-back lane violations on Donovan Mitchell free throws. And Donovan missed both of those free throws and he was able to get a make. And I think that contributed. And it was a lane violation where he stepped inside the 3-point line. Caruso was like at the 3-point line.
Right.
And he put his foot in twice in a row. So, I mean, it was a lane violation, but it's not something you normally see get called. It got called twice in a row. And then when the game on the line, Billy is furious. And then Patrick Williams was supposed to block Donovan out. He didn't. And Billy was like, yeah, because Donovan had a head start, but he still should have blocked him out. Anyway, I will argue, and I will let you guys dispute this with me if you want. I will argue that the Donovan rebound and putback was more technically impressive than the Luka one, because the Luka one was partially or largely a product of luck. It passed through 3 Knick players' hands before it fell into his. He made a brilliant play when he caught it and put it back up, and there was less time on the clock. So I'm not trying to say the play, but Donovan actually beat everybody to the spot, got his own rebound cleanly and put it back up. Maybe not artistically better, but technically better. That is probably a once in your career play. So he has the best second half, I will argue, of his regular season career, a once in a career play to force the overtime with 3 seconds left, and then has the best overtime of his career where he scores 13 points in 5 minutes. Both teams were completely gassed, flat on their heels, could barely run. And Donovan is beating everybody up and down the court to the ball, despite playing 50 minutes in the second and not coming out in the second half. He just had more energy and stamina than anybody. And so I will say right in a row before I pass the ball to you, Spears, best second half, one of the best individual plays he'll ever have, best overtime, boom, 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 all in a row, iconic performance. When he retires, it may say Donovan Mitchell, who won an MVP and won a title and all these things, but it will say he had a 71-point game, just like Kobe, MVP, 5 titles, and the 81-point game. People will never forget that singular performance. So no matter what happens, he will always have this.
Pass me the ball, but I'm going to throw it right back to you because I consider you a Cavs historian, right?
Yeah.
The same way people, try to consider me a Warriors historian, right? I consider you a Cavs historian. So, excluding postseason, is this the greatest individual performance in Cavaliers history?
Yeah, I mean, the excluding postseason is the big factor there because LeBron took them to 5 finals.
We're talking regular season.
Okay. Yes. Now, it was interesting. Kevin Love put out a tweet last night where he kind of ranked the things that he'd seen in his Cavs career. And he talked about LeBron in the postseason, so I'll take that. But he put Kyrie Irving, he had a 55-point game against Portland and a 57-point game in San Antonio. The 57-point game in San Antonio, which was tied with LeBron for the most in playoff history. That was an iconic Cavs game. He had a 3 at the buzzer to force overtime back when the Spurs were loaded. Like the Spurs were still championship contenders, and nobody went into San Antonio and took the Spurs like that. So I was thinking about this actually as the game was going on. Where does this rank in terms of because to take LeBron's name out of a Cavs record book, that doesn't happen every day, right? That doesn't happen every day.
What was the previous record? Excuse my ignorance again.
Kyrie and LeBron both had 57.
Okay.
Yeah. And there'd been a handful of Cavs who had over 50, including Darius Garland, who had a 50-point game, I think last year, or maybe the year before, but I think last year had a 50-point game. The one thing I will say to qualify this, Garland was out of the game. Evan Mobley was out of the game. Okay. Bulls throwing they were starting Lamar Stevens, very good energy player, but not an offensive threat, completely ignoring him, double teaming. And Donovan had been in kind of a slump. So he was pressing too. And so I think, and obviously LeBron had some games where he didn't have exactly great help. But when you factor in all of that stuff, that the Bulls were double teaming him regularly, again, there's been 7 guys in history to score 70 points in a game. 7. And he still had, I think, 50. I think he had 58 in regulation. So I think he already had beaten LeBron's record in regulation with that play. So it's the highest scoring game in 17 years. I mean, I have to say it's Donovan.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm being a prisoner of the moment. It's a January game, so you're all those asterisks, but I think it is.
So you said LeBron and Kyrie have 57, right?
Mm-hmm.
This dude had 55 in the second half.
Wild, right?
Think about that.
He did have an overtime, but points. I think Kyrie's 57 was an overtime too. I'm pretty sure in San Antonio.
55 in the second. I don't care if it was extra 5 minutes, man.
Listen, man, the Cavs scored 80. The Cavs scored 80 points in the second half and almost lost. And here's something else. Donovan drew 17 fouls in this game. 17 fouls.
He could do that.
I mean, you don't get to 71 without getting to the line a few times, right?
Yeah. Like, and here's another thing that's incredible about Donovan Mitchell is I think the average NBA fan thinks he's 6'6".
Yeah.
This dude is like a NFL fullback, right? He's 6'1", man. Like, he's 6'1". Like, think about that.
His like, wingspan might be 6'6".
Yeah. The way he jumps and the way he goes downhill at his size is absolutely incredible. And for him to just is amazing to me. Somebody in the Jazz contingent, who I'll leave nameless, posed a question to me last week because the Jazz came to San Francisco, that the Jazz got the better of the trade for Donovan Mitchell. And I said, whoa, pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. You know, like, obviously marketing's having a great season. They got some picks out of it and, you know, some good players. But there's a reason why they gave up what they gave up for Donovan Mitchell. Like, right. And we saw that on Monday night.
I mean, the fact that he still had 71, to your point, 55 in the second half plus OT. And you knew it was going to. You knew that was their offense that night. As you know, no Garland, no Mobley. Okay, it's going to go. And then in overtime, you still knew exactly where it was going to go. And he still just made it happen. And the fact that we've seen, I think going back, if you use Basketball References game score, I think 3 of the top 9 or 10 performances that they have all time have all been in the last 3 months between. It's
an amazing season. We're having an amazing season every single night.
The Luka 60-20, 10 and the Embiid 59. Like, it's just been a ridiculous year for individual performances.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.